This is the culmination of billions of dollars and years of research and a very questionable 2 a.m. Amazon purchase. This is my AI personal assistant, and it does a pretty good job at echoing what I say. But real talk, this helmet isn't actually necessary for what I'm about to share with you. In fact, that's kind of the point. The future of AI doesn't have to look like sci-fi. It doesn't need to be this advanced or this sweaty to be useful. So let's talk about what actually makes AI powerful when it's grounded in reality. Smartphones have become our constant companions. They help us navigate, communicate, capture, and remember. But they also ask for our attention. What if the next evolution of AI didn't require us to pull out a screen, but instead worked with us? Seeing and hearing what we do, understanding the moment we're in. This isn't about replacing your phone. It's about adding a new layer. One where your assistant doesn't interrupt, but enhances. Imagine walking through a new city and your AI quietly highlights a landmark in your periphery, or reminds you of someone's name just before you greet them. I know I forget a lot of people's names, so this would be very useful to me. It's not another device to manage. It's intelligence that's ambient, supportive, and perceptive. A shift from interaction to integration. Imagine an AI that sees and hears the world the way you do, like having a second brain that's always paying attention. It's not just about processing voice commands. It understands your surroundings and it anticipates your needs. Think of it like Tony Stark's Jarvis, but also built into your phone, glasses, or earbuds. For example, say you're rushing to get out of the door for work. As you grab your key, the AI notices your umbrella by the door and says, "You'll need that. It's going to rain at 3 p.m. It saw the umbrella, checked the forecast, and reminded you without being asked. Or maybe you're cooking dinner and your hands are full. Without needing to touch anything, it reads the recipe aloud, notices you missed a step, and highlights it in your line of sight. Instead of fumbling with apps or forgetting things, you just move through your day, and it's got your back. That's how it saves you time, by eliminating friction in dozens of tiny moments every single day. For AI to integrate seamlessly into our lives, we need more than just an app. We need a platform that's constantly processing data from cameras, microphones, and sensors, without sending everything off to distant servers. By combining AR, computer vision, and natural language understanding in a unified architecture, we create a real-time system that's both powerful and private. Think of it like an operating system for reality. The raw data from your environment streams in, the AI interprets it in milliseconds, and the device then delivers insights or actions that feel instantaneous. Critically, many operations happen locally, preserving user privacy and reducing latency. This approach transforms how we interact with technology. Fewer manual inputs, more contextual intelligence with an extensible design. Developers everywhere can build specialized functions, fueling endless possibilities. When the AI assistant is fully aware of your context, it can help in subtle but transformative ways, reminding you of a key detail in a meeting, offering hands-free instructions on the factory floor, or providing real-time translations of foreign text. In healthcare, imagine wearable devices that help patients with dementia, for instance, with memory impairments, recognize places and people. In intelligence and security, covert real-time data gathering becomes possible. It could tell an agent, for instance, there's a street camera to your left, perhaps you should take a different road. And that means focusing on flexible APIs and modular components. By allowing contributions from a broad developer community, we accelerate innovation across different sectors, from supply chain management to personal productivity. This synergy of context and customization is what will truly empower everyday users. The real trick is building a solid underlying platform, so nobody has to reinvent the wheel every time a new feature is needed. We don't need full body armor. We don't need $1 billion lab. What we do need is a user-centric design and platform approach. That's why I bought this helmet. It's flashy, but real-world solutions can be infinitely more subtle and just as powerful, if not more. The AI of the future enhances our abilities without weighing us down. Once we have a ubiquitous developer-friendly platform for AR and AI, the kinds of applications that emerge will surprise us all. Just look at ChatGPT, for example. The moment it was made and an API was put in for developers to create wrappers around, there were like tons and dozens of solutions that transformed the landscape in just a few weeks. So imagine having this sort of capability for a lot of models created around a platform that allows you to interact with an AI assistant in real time. Imagine, for example, changing a car battery step by step to invisible guidance for intelligence officers. The possibilities are endless. And this isn't science fiction. It's the next logical step once real-time AI is embedded in everyday devices and enhanced by an ecosystem of diverse developers. As these capabilities spread, you'll see specialized apps that solve niche problems. AR overlays for hazardous job training, AI-assisted language translation in remote areas, or personal memory aids that adapt to medical conditions. AR for warehouse workers so that they can quickly spot a particular item in the aisles so that they don't need to spend 10 times as much time looking for it. The real beauty is how quickly this ecosystem can evolve once developers can plug into a shared real-time platform. So what comes after the smartphone? An AI assistant that moves with you, sees with you, and knows just enough to help you act without adding mental clutter. When the AI is perceptive, aware of your context in real time, it becomes part of your environment. You won't even notice it's there until you need it. That's the power of an ambient AI augmented reality. And that's why the smartphone is truly the last device we'll keep staring at. Our next device will look with us. Thank you so much for listening.
You gave this talk, but we'd like to know, what are you working on specifically? That would be helpful.
I'm working on specifically what I talked about, so trying to build a vertically integrated platform for AR to allow developers to come in and build platforms on top, build apps on top of our platform, right. Whether it's consumer or enterprise. So the hardware, the models that provide intelligible inference on the visual and audio data collected, and the AI assistant that sort of bridges the interactions with all those apps to the user.
And where do you see these applications? If you talk about the smartphone, but do you see an evolution in the smartphone moving from here to something else?
No. No. I think that nothing will really replace the smartphone because it's just part of people's culture. Right. And it provides so much of utility. I think that thinking about using AR to replace smartphones is sort of naive, and it goes beyond what you should be thinking about with AR. When it comes to thinking about AR, you should be thinking about how you solve problems, not how you make something look cool or very sci-fi such that it replaces smartphones and you can watch Game of Thrones while you're wearing glasses. I don't think that sort of would attract consumers too much.
At this moment, you believe, or you think? Because to me personally, I look at the future is mixed reality, for example, not just augmented reality or VR, and it's going to be a shift away from the mobile phone where I can do everything through my lenses, for example. So you don't see that development coming in. Maybe the evolution of humans and consumers in terms of what we do. You don't see that happening, or?
It certainly would happen to a fraction of the people, right? The people who buy the product just because of the dynamics behind it. But I don't think it would sort of be such that it's the majority. Me personally, I would much rather prefer to hold my phone in my hand while I scroll or while I go on my gallery or something, instead of trying to navigate by using my eyes or something. I feel it just feels much more awkward like that.
Right.
And I think it would be a mistake to assume that everyone is a California tech nerd as well. A lot of people don't want this type of stuff in such an interface in the consumer community.
I guess it all boils down to marketing at the end of the day, or adoption. If Apple were to come up with something, because typically when we first looked at the evolution of lenses, they were cumbersome, they were large, they were heavy, they gave us vertigo. Maybe someone will come up with a product that might convince us in the future. Maybe that's the evolution, but I'll throw the question to the audience. Yeah.
I think it's just the obvious question. So how is that different from what Facebook has sunk billions of dollars into?
Okay.
And now they're all on AI and kind of forgot. Is that just an interface difference, or what is the game changer that you're talking about?
Okay, good question. You're talking about for example, Meta Ray-Bans and stuff, and their upcoming Orion.
Several a whole evolution of releases.
So number one, a lot of Facebook's products, like Meta Ray-Bans, don't really allow for developers to come in and build apps on top of. A developer can't be hey, I think this is really useful for potentially dementia patients as an AI assistant. Let me create an app that leverages the data collected. They can't do that. That's number one, which sort of like stifles and bottlenecks a lot of like expansion, both for enterprise and consumers into the potential like use cases. And if there's like a lack of use cases, there's a lack of incentive, and therefore like less customers potentially out there.
They fixed that approach with Llama. I mean, not for the VR, but like the business approach.
Yeah. Another thing is, in terms of like tapping into AR for enterprise, for instance, it might not be the best to literally have like smart glasses like these for like warehouse workers, in terms of maybe it's better to like have a diversification of like different hardwares for different like enterprises and use cases. For example, for warehouse or certain other enterprises, it might be better to simply add an add-on to the glasses that are sort of cheap, or the workers like prescribed lens glasses, so that they can like see things in front of them, instead of like the company buying like new prescription glasses that are smart for like all of them. So it also like really depends on who you're targeting, which vertical and whatever. Meta is very much towards consumers. There's a lot of enterprise potential for this. For example, DHL tried a case study a few years ago where they saw that AR increased their employees' productivity in warehouses by like over 25%. So Meta is not really tapping into that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I ask all the questions. So this framework, like, what's talking to each other then in this framework?
So I guess that there's going to be data being collected. There's going to be intelligible processing of that data for a variety of different use cases, depending on like what the user wants, and like the AI assistant will be able to like bridge interactions with the apps to the user, similar to how actually like what's that thing called?
I mean like very specific hardware devices, because at the end of the day, your software runs on hardware, right? So I'm just curious what your thoughts are there with what hardware is talking to each other.
Could you specify your question a bit more?
Yeah.
I mean, because in this framework, like you have to send data through something. So ideally, and every software runs on a hardware. So hardware has to talk to each other at some point. So I'm just trying to grasp that in my head, right? Because you're projecting a vision, but it's not clear what that vision will be.
So I mean, in terms of like the data stream, like a lot of the processing would happen on device, on the phone, and a bit of it also on the cloud. And there might be intelligible inferences on data that's collected by a lot of people wearing the glasses that could be shared, in terms of like training models that like then also improve the experience for an individual user. So like a sort of a swarm type architecture. So for example, say that there's a bunch of workers like working in warehouses or whatever. The data, the visual data that's collected might be used for further training of like models that could then be like used to better the apps for an individual user as well. Does that answer the question or not really?
No. I'll ask it later.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, I could just add to, if I'm guessing your question, I'll just give you an enterprise example that was used here a few weeks ago. There's a guy who specializes in aviation. So typically, a pilot, for example, on an enterprise basis, in the old days, they would go around and visually inspect like the wheels, the brakes, and everything. Normally, when you go on a plane, you'll see a pilot walking around. That then evolved to using kind of an iPad to look at fracture points that his eye was not be able to detect. And now what they're experimenting is with glasses. Again, this is coming to the enterprise, but the data is transmitted to some hardware for them to be able to see. But even the glasses that are being experimented with are detecting those fracture points, and he's able to make decisions on that. So there's many different ways. When we talk about Internet of Things, I forgot the name of the company, there was in Newton. They were using a lot of visualization and glasses to experiment with this as well. So, I mean, are you talking about, if I'm gathering that you're...
Glasses talking to each other, or is glasses talking to
It's part of the evolution that will happen, yeah. It's going to be part of the evolution that happens. We're early stages, so, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.